Today is a very special day of our live Algo Hour, so I'm glad you guys are able to join. For the typical people that are here, I recognize a couple of you guys. TP Worth, I saw you there a second ago. So for those of you guys that are normally part of our live Algo Hour, you might have noticed there's more people here today, right? And that's exactly because we're having an open house today, right? So I'm hoping that we can do this maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks or something like that, to kind of just let other people see what these sessions look like. What does it look like when we do these live algo hours? So let me share my screen with you guys for a second. Let me just walk through this here. So we're calling this our live algo hour open house, right? So basically, what live algo hour is, for those of you that do not know, is basically every week we sit down together, a group of us, right? A bunch of us are here today as well. And we basically create algorithms, right? So it's myself usually writing the code, and and you guys can come in and chime in and say, oh, can we try to build this? Or what if we modified this with the algorithm, right? That's essentially what this is all about, right? So we're collectively working on algorithms together as a team, right? And I'm the one who's writing the actual code, right? So like I said, we plan on doing this maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks or something like that, just to kind of open it up, right? So you guys can see what's happening, right? Okay, cool. So let me do the quick sales pitch before we get started, just in case you guys want to join us more in a more permanent basis. So basically, if you guys want to join the live algo hour going forward, or if you want to access the code from what we're working on here, then you need to subscribe to either a pro plan or our all access plan. So say you go through what we're doing today, you really liked what we have, or you want to see some of our code, you want to use it, you would need to pay for either one of these plans. Okay, so what do these plans come with, and why should you care? And so if you go on our website, these are now front and center on our website. We've switched over almost fully to a company where we do more subscription type plans, right? And you'll see on our homepage we have 3 plans, right? We have our starter plan, we have our pro plan, and we have our all access plan. Okay. If you want to join the live algo hour, you need to be either part of the pro plan or the all access plan. Okay. So what that means is, or what do you get with the pro plan? So a pro plan right now is $199 a month. It's going up to $249 tomorrow, by the way. Prices are going up tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to save $50 a month, do it today or, I guess early tomorrow. And this plan, what it includes is what we're going over today, the live algo hour, the recordings, the actual session itself every week on Tuesday live. Okay, so if you can't attend, you can watch the recordings. But if you can't attend, you get influence what we're actually building, right? And you also get the code, which is obviously a very important part, because if you have these algorithms and you like them, you can actually use the code and you can run it, right? So we have tons of code. If you look through, here's kind of our code folder. We have a bunch of stuff in here that we've been working on, Congress trading bots, and breakout strategies, and VIX trading, and all sorts of stuff. So if you guys are interested in any of this code here or anything that we work on today, you guys can access that with our pro plan. Okay. You also get access to our workshops, which help you basically get started with everything. You also get trading signals. This is a new feature that we're working on. So by the way, all of you guys that do have a pro plan or our all access plan, you will be getting trading signals very soon. So what that means is basically our algorithms that we've been building over the years, you'll get a chance to have those sent to you over Discord. It's not completed yet, but it's going to look something like this, right? Where basically you'll have a Discord channel and we'll send out updates, so updates. So this is one algorithm, our crypto B bands, right? That we're in the position where our upper boulder band is good, right? And then it'll tell you, an update for the actual account. This account, by the way, made a crap load of money. It made like $20,000 in like a week, which is pretty amazing. So 20% in a week, that's not a bad return if you ask me. And it kind of shows you, I don't see any here, but it also sends you like whenever it makes a trade, right? So if it ever places a trade or there's any update with any of our algorithms, you'll get notifications like that. And we'll have a different channel for each algorithm so you guys can follow along if you want. All right. So you get live algo hour in the code, you get workshops, you get the trading signals. You also get a chance to join our Discord community, which we're going to be ramping up as well with some more live content in there. And you also get access to our Python for Finance course. All right. Our Pro plan is $199 a month as of today. Tomorrow it goes to $249. And then you can also access the live algo hour if you are part of our all access plan as well, which is $599 a month and going up to, I think, $649 tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So this is also going up in cost too. And what the all access plan includes is every pro plan, right? So all of that, plus you get access to all of our courses, meaning our trading course, our AI for trading course, or trading course, or blockchain, all that stuff. 2 hours every month. So you get, if you're ever stuck anywhere and need help, you can get help with that. And then you also get live tutoring sessions, which is something we're going to start running soon, where it's kind of like live algo hour, kind of like what we're doing today, but it's going to be a much smaller crowd because there's less people that are plan. So you'll get more private help, right? So we'll be able to spend more time on each one of you guys or build algorithms for you guys if you have something that you want built. By the nature of it, there's going to be less people per class. I would expect to keep it somewhere around 5 to 10 people per class, or maybe even less. And we'll basically, if you want to have an algorithm built, or if you want to get help with something, or if you want to modify something, you'll be able to get help with that in all access plan, right? So that's a step up from the pro plan, right? So if you want to sign up to either one of those, that's how you do it. Here are the URLs. I'll send them to you in the chat. Right, there we go. And you can go to lumiwealth.com, right? Or you can go to lumiwealth.com and they're like right up on the homepage. All right. So it's taking a second for a second. I have a question, but they're right up very front.
In the chat, I just put like 2 hours of personalized support outside of the workshops a month, right? 2 hours a month of personalized support.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Second question. Yeah, second question is right there. Can you tell us about the Python for Finance course, please?
Yeah, so Python for Finance course is a pre-recorded class that we made a while back, and basically it will teach you how to apply Python to basically use data science to analyze stocks and actually even other assets like real estate and things like that as well, right? So it's a foundational class that can teach you about how to apply Python and data science to the world of finance, right? Okay, so if you guys are interested in any of these plans, Dante, I know you're on our plan already, so I know that's why you're asking. But for the rest of you guys, if you want to sign up, go on our homepage. Pro plan includes this, all access plan includes this, free trial or the starter plan does not, right? So you'd have to sign up to either one of these. And once again, prices are going up tomorrow. So this is going to be $250 tomorrow. This is going to be $650 tomorrow, right? Okay, so that's my little spiel here. Any questions, guys, before we get started with the actual class?
Oh, sir.
Cool. Okay, awesome. All right, so I'll leave this up here in case you guys want to, look at this afterwards. But so let's get started with the actual class. So we have a lot more people here. So let's try to keep this fairly organized. But for those of you that have never been here, as part of our live algo hour, the first step that we always do is we choose what algorithm we want to work on. All right, so we've been working on a few different algorithms lately. We've been working on our Congress trading bot, basically setting it up to work with options and a few other things. We've been working on a bot that trades essentially the VIX, right? We've been working on a grid trading bot. We've been working on a machine learning bot as well. Anyone have any suggestions for algorithms that they'd want to build today? What would you guys like to work on today?
I would like to see how the class just goes normally. I would like to see what you all typically work on and engage from there. How about you all, classmates?
Have you ever worked on a energy trading bot?
Yeah, do you guys have any ideas? Any energy trading bot? No, we have not. What do you have in mind?
I just wondered. I mean, something that could possibly take advantage of um, some disparities just in the market on the energy trading side.
Okay, so something like a futures trading bot or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll add that to our list here, energy futures. Is that something that you do for a living?
No, it's just something I've always, thought was highly intellectual for, and just something that was very interesting. But I've never dived into it, and I just wondered if, anyone else probably has, had some experience in that.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to add that to the list. So energy futures trading. Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. John is also saying, love a BB strategy. I'm assuming that means Bollinger Bands. So can we access the Bollinger Band strategy that you showed a few minutes ago that made 20K? Yeah, I think it's in here. Crypto BB. If you guys want, we could actually work on that as well. This is a bot that I made like a week or two ago, actually with Dante, right? Dante and I worked on this thing.
Yes, sir.
It actually has some really good results so far. The back tests are really good, and so far it's been making good money. I mean, so I think that's interesting. We can add that to our list of things here, where essentially we would improve on our Bollinger Band bot, right? Right, we can work on that. I think there's a lot that we can improve there. It's actually pretty cool the way it works. I can explain to you guys basically what it does. It has like this whole thing where it detects if we're in a super trend or not. So it actually switches between Bollinger Bands and basically just trend following, right? So it's kind of both in one. So it's a pretty interesting strategy. Roger says automate an ICT silver bullet strategy. I think you and Worth would get along quite well. You hear that, Worth? More people want to work on ICT strategies.
Yep.
I think you've been putting together some stuff, right?
Yeah, I've been wanting to do the same thing. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that we could at least attempt to maybe have one iteration on. It's something that requires some discretionary decision making, but I mean, we could make a bot that sort of does some of the ICT strategy, I think.
Okay. Is the silver bullet strategy the one that you had in mind, or is there a different one?
Yeah, the silver bullet is the one I was thinking about working on.
Okay, cool. So someone's asking here. So Jim's asking, what is ICT? So ICT is basically maybe Worth you can even explain it better than I could, but essentially it is. This is not a good thing to. This is not the right thing. But basically, they teach people about trading, and they have their own like specific trading strategies that apparently work very well. Like I've been seeing them all over TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And apparently their strategies are quite profitable. They work really well. So basically what we'd want to do is we'd want to automate what ICT strategies are, right? And there's like maybe Worth, you could explain this a little bit better than I can. Or Roger, if you want to explain, sure, go ahead.
Sure. So ICT is actually, well, per se, he says that he is the creator of Inner Circle Trader that actually brought to retail traders what is smart money concepts, what is fair value gap, what is liquidity pools, what is strategies like Judo Swing, Silver Bullet, or trading for futures or yeah, SPX 500 or NAS 100 or US 30. Also, at the beginning, he actually traded more Forex, but then he switched over for futures for having more liquidity and more integrated stuff. And also, guy on different patterns, understand how actually banks or explain how banks works to more mortals for like us, and explain some concepts that actually have like 10 years being around, actually explain it, and in the last 5 years have become quite popular. And now is the retail strategy at the moment. And on that time, you have like supply and demand, fair value gap, what is engulfing candle, what is a refined institutional candles, and all the different stuff. So that's a brief of who it is and what he teach.
Perfect, awesome. So it stands for Inner Circle Trading. So I think it's a very good explanation. Thank you for that. Inner Circle Trader. There you go. Right. So they have like a YouTube channel and all that. They have a bunch of really interesting strategies that apparently work very well. There's another comment here from AD saying, I was trying to modify the BB crypto bands for equities, but couldn't get the backtest to run. Yeah, there needs to be a modification for equities. I started working on that yesterday. I didn't get a chance to finish it. But there needs to be a modification for equities. And that's because when you're getting the Bollinger Bands, it doesn't have enough data, and there's just like a small tweak that needs to happen. So AD, if you're interested in that, we could actually go over it, and I could show, actually we could do the Bollinger Band strategy on stocks and other things like that too today, if you guys are interested in doing that. Because right now it just works on Bitcoin, but we can modify it to work on like Tesla, or even like leveraged ETFs. Like we can make it work with a bunch of other things. So AD, if you're interested in that, we can actually even do that today, right? And by today I mean like right now. Okay, cool. So anything else that you guys
Sounds
want?
cool.
Sounds cool. Yep. Awesome. Okay, so I have a fairly long list here. We have our UVXY shorting strategy. By the way, Worth, how is that going for you?
The UVXY, I haven't run it this week, but I think it is basically pretty much ready for live funds. I am feeling very comfortable with it, and I think I'm going to start putting some money in it. It runs on Interactive Brokers, so it's not going to run all week long. You will have to restart your Interactive Brokers every day to run it, but I mean, other than that, I think that'll be fixed down the line.
Yeah, we're working on a fix for that right now, actually.
But other than that, I think I'm actually ready to start trading that. The market's a little bit volatile right now. I mean, if volatility goes up significantly, I'll definitely implement it. So yeah, getting ready to put some live funds into it. I think it's actually working bug free now. So it's awesome.
That's very cool, man. Yeah, and I'm assuming it made you some paper money, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely made some profitable trades. So very exciting.
Very cool, man. Looking forward to that. Keep us updated,
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. So wow, we're getting a lot of people joining here. So for those of you that just joined, we are at the beginning of our class. We're essentially picking, what strategy we want to be working on right now. And I just asked the question of what strategy would you guys like to build today? So far, we have a couple written down here. We have, we could keep work. I guess the UVXY shorting, we don't really need to work on that anymore. I can close that down, right? If someone's interested in running that, we can talk about that. But I think that's done, right? We could work on our machine learning strategy. We could work on our grid trading bot. Although I don't think Alpha is here today. So He kind of was the one that was running that. We could keep working on our Congress trading bot. Grid trading VIX, that'd be interesting. Worth, that's pretty cool. That could work actually pretty well. So we have our Congress trading bot, we have our energy futures bot that we could work on. We could keep working on our Bollinger Band bot, or we could work on an ICT strategy, right? I think most of these, as we're working on, I think the harder ones here would be machine learning and ICT, right? I'm just saying this because, you know, we have an open house today. I'm hoping to show you guys like something finished by the end of the day. So me personally, I'm kind of gravitating towards like the ones that will be a little bit easier that we can have an end result by today. Because I think if we work on ICT, that's probably going to take us a few days, right? Because those I know are fairly complex. We started working on one the other day, and it was like those are pretty complicated strategies. And same thing with machine learning; those tend to be pretty complicated, right? But let me share any other suggestions, guys, of what you want to build?
No, sir. I think the easier one to get something done by the end of class is great.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, VIX futures per month. You guys are talking back and forth. It doesn't matter either one. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to send out the survey and we can get this kicked off. All right, so I'm going to save this and I'm going to launch this survey. All right, so it started up. So you guys should see this on your screens. All right, and you guys can pick which bot you guys want to build today. Awesome. Votes coming in real quick. All right, I feel like there's a race. Okay, so far we're seeing Bollinger Bands win. Had 13 people out of 25, or yeah, 25 of you guys. So if you guys want to keep voting, you got, if you don't see it on your screen, you should be able to click on poll somewhere on your screen and you guys can vote on this. So far, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but the Bollinger Band bot has 7 people so far voting for it. In second place, we have Energy Futures. And then tied for third, we have Machine Learning and ICT. And this time around, we actually don't have that many people voting for Congress trading, which is interesting. So 10 more of you guys need to vote. So let's see what the rest of you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to build. I'll give it another 10 or 15 seconds because maybe you guys stepped away from your computers or something like that, or just can't do it. Okay, we got 16. All right, let's give it another 10 seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we'll call it here. And it seems like we have the winner here. We have the Bollinger Band bot. I'm going to guess that's because you guys saw the results of it. It's pretty crazy. It is pretty nuts. Like, honestly, it made 20% in like a week. It's also because crypto's been going up a lot, so I can't attribute all of that to the bot, but it definitely made some good decisions, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so why don't we get started on that? So let me end this poll. Right? We could share the results.
I'm curious, oh yeah, good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was curious which one came in second.
Yeah, so I shared the results with you guys. So the second place one was actually Energy Futures.
Great, awesome.
Yeah, people are actually very interested in that concept. It's very cool. Yeah, I feel like that'd be an interesting one to build as well. The only thing with building futures bots is we need to get futures data, right? Which is, I still haven't found a place to get it. I'm sure we could find data somewhere. It just doesn't come with our normal data source, Polygon. So we'd actually have to go out and find that data. But that's just one extra step. Roger asked, the Bollinger Bands can be used for Forex? Yeah, probably. I think so. We can test that out today as well if you guys want. We could take this crypto Bollinger Band strategy and we could try it with stocks. We could try it with Forex. We could try it with a bunch of things. So we could definitely test all that out. Okay, so let me get this started here. So this bot normally lives inside of one of our other classes. So let me pull up that bot here, and I'll also run the back test for you guys so you can see kind of what it looks like. Right, Roger says for future CMA offer data or NinjaTrader. Yeah, that's a good idea. I feel like NinjaTrader, we could probably get it from them for free if anyone's got an account with them. CME, I feel like would probably charge a decent amount. But yeah, I think those are both good data sources. I agree with you, Roger. AD says stocks. Jim says curious if it would be possible to see how the algos are actually implemented. That's one part of it that's still a mystery to me. Yeah, I could kind of show you what it looks like if you want, Jim. But there's a workshop that you could actually watch. If you join our pro plan, or even if you join our starter plan, you get access to that workshop, and it'll actually walk you through how to install one of these bots. It's not something that we can really walk through today fully, because it will take like an hour or so to get it all set up. But if you sign up to either a starter plan or pro plan or all access plan, you'll get access to that workshop, and it'll walk you through exactly how to do that. It's quite simple, you know. It's just like make an account with Alpaca, make an account with Replit, and then copy code over. It's like very little coding. It's mostly just opening up accounts with things. Cool. John says, thanks, Robert. 80 says, TradeStation is a good free data source for futures. Oh, that's a good idea, 80. Yeah. We could definitely get it from TradeStation. I actually have an account with them too, so we could pull that out. That's a very good idea, 80. John says, I have a NinjaTrader account, would love to figure out how to use Lumi Wealth to use it accordingly. Definitely agree with you there, John. 100%. We can talk about that. Jim says, okay. Mario says, hola, Mario. How's it going? Okay, so I'm going to pull our Bollinger Band strategy out here. So I'm going to copy this from this is our main class for algo trading. There's a bunch of algorithms here. If you join our all access plan, you get access to all these algorithms. There's quite a few of them. But I'm going to copy this over to our live algo hour for today. So even if you guys sign up for pro plan, you'll get it now too. 80. So do we have the bot set for TradeStation? No, we do not currently work with TradeStation. We work with Alpaca. We work with Interactive Brokers. We're planning an integration with Schwab as well. Schwab TD Ameritrade, right? And we work with a bunch of different crypto brokers. We're adding brokers pretty quickly right now, though. That's like one of our main things we're working on. And John says, this is Python correct. I found that OKX and Bybit use JSON code. So we can work with Bybit and OKX. Maybe they have their own code or something like that. I don't know, right? But Python can definitely connect to them as well, right? You connect through an API. Okay, so here's our cool. So here's our Bollinger Band strategy. Okay, so let me run this strategy right now. We'll run it live, false, paper trading, true. I'm going to run this for you guys so you can see what the back test looks like, so you guys kind of know where we're coming from here, right? And I'm going to use, if you guys want to run this strategy, you guys will have to make a few little modifications. You'll have to make sure you set up your Polygon API keys. You might need to set this to false, as paid subscription to false, right? And you guys might need to change the dates depending on if you're paying for Polygon data. I pay for Polygon data, so for me, it's all free, right? So wait, actually, we need to do one thing here. I'm gonna move over new file .env. I was gonna copy this over as well. So we've kind of changed the way that this works. So for those of you guys that are wondering what I'm doing, basically we're gonna start using env files in the future instead of credentials to save our credentials, because it's a little bit more compatible with when we run in the cloud. Makes it a little bit easier. So here I'm starting the back test for a crypto B-band strategy. So while this thing is back testing, let me explain to you guys what it does. So for those of you that don't know what Bollinger Bands basically looks something like this. So let me there's Bollinger Bands. Maybe this sort of thing. Slower than usual for me. That's why. 1 second. I'll be right back, guys. This is why it's going so slow. Basically what a Bollinger Band looks like, right? Essentially, you'll have your stock price going here like this, right? You can see all the candles. In the middle, you create an exponential moving average, right? Or a moving average. And then we put a standard deviation around it, right? So it kind of looks like this. It's like this like bubble that going around the stock's price, okay? Now, what this strategy does, and let me check to make sure that it's back testing, is getting data. I'm going to rerun this because I restarted my internet and it might have done something a little weird. Okay. Basically what it does is if the price of the stock goes above the upper Bollinger Band, which is this top one here, it's going to sell the asset, right? And in our case, we're doing Bitcoin right now. Okay. And then if it goes below the bottom Bollinger Band right here, it's going to buy, right? So basically any extreme moves that happen, right? So if Bitcoin shoots up too quickly, it's going to sell it, right? If it falls too quickly, it's going to buy it, right? And it just keeps doing that. And this usually works very well in a sideways moving market, right? And it also seems to work quite well in a down moving market as well, right? So that's what this B-band strategy does. And it's kind of what Bitcoin's been doing over the past like 2 years, right? So it's worked well over that. But then we added in to this strategy, basically a way of detecting, are we in a super trend, right? If we're in a super trend, which we define as 45 days, where the 20 EMA is above the 50 EMA, then we are just buying Ethereum and Bitcoin and just holding it, right? So it kind of switch modes, right? It switches modes. So it either makes money from Bollinger Bands trending sideways, up and down, right? Or it makes money because it's in a super trend and it just holds Bitcoin and Ethereum and just rides the wave, right? And you'll see that when we back test this over time, it actually beats Bitcoin by a nice amount and also has a reduced risk, right? So it doesn't have as big of a max drawdown and it doesn't have as big of a volatility, right? So it actually is less risky and makes more money than Bitcoin historically, right? So I'm back testing this right now. It's downloading Bitcoin data for me. And I'll show you guys what that looks like soon, right? So now we can wait for this back test to finish, but what would you guys want to modify about this first? I think there's a few things that we can change, right? We can A, make it work for stocks. B, we can make it work for Forex, right? C, we can try to play around with the parameters, right? Because I haven't really fine-tuned this thing yet, right? I'm sure there's lots of ways that we can fine-tune it to make it work even better, right? What else could we work on? Any other ideas that you guys would want to do?
I like the first two, stocks and Forex.
Okay, stocks and Forex. Okay. So let me make this into a poll. What would you want to change in the BB strategy? I guess I can't have a title that long. Okay, so change. Okay, so I'm gonna have option 1 is gonna be work for stocks. Option 2 will make it work for Forex. Option 3, tweak it to work better. I think another thing that we can do with this too is we can have this work with multiple assets at once, right? Right now it only trades Bitcoin, but it could trade multiple things. It could trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Solana. It could trade like a bunch of things all at the same time, right? So that's something that we can introduce to it as well, right? So trade multiple assets at once. Right? Any other ideas for what you guys would want to do with this? Okay, I see a chat here. So John asks, what is SD2? What do you mean by that, John? Can we change to 3? Oh, standard deviation. Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely one of the parameters that we can mess with. Absolutely. So I would put that on under tweaking it to make it work better. Tweak parameters. I'll call it tweak parameters. All right. So I'd put it under that, right? TP says, is there an all option? Yeah, I think we could get through a lot of these right now. But I want to get a poll from you guys to kind of get an idea of what do we work on first, second, third, etc. Right. I think we could probably get through all of these today, but I want to at least ask you guys what do you think is the most important? What do you guys care about the most?
I guess I'd like to see it to work on futures, because futures have a little bit better tax implications in the United States.
Okay. We'll work for futures. I put in here. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Worth. Cool. Any other things you guys want to do? So AD asks, where can you find the crypto B-Bands V2 file? So right now, I just put it inside of our live Algo Hour folder. So if you're part of our Pro plan again, or All Access plan, then you can see it under the live Algo Hour Google Drive, right? So it's automatically saved here, Crypto B-Bands V2. It's also inside of our algo trading course under strategies. Right. Okay, cool. So let me save this and I'm going to send out this poll. What to change in BB strategy. Polls will launch this meeting. I need to stop that. And then now I can launch this one. Okay. All right, guys. So go ahead and vote. Okay, so we got a couple things going here. Trade multiple assets. Okay, we have a tie right now forming. Right, we have this is pretty close between all of them, right? We have 16 people voted. So let's get a few more of you guys to vote on this here. We need a tiebreaker. So right now we have trading multiple assets at once, which I think is a really cool one. I agree with that. Working for Forex, I think would be interesting. We'd have to try to figure out how to make that work. I'm less confident with Forex, guys. So you guys might have to help me out a little bit more because I haven't traded Forex that much in my life. But you guys can maybe tell me a little bit about the details there. We also have a tie for second place for futures and tweaking the parameters. Right. So who wants to come in here and be a tiebreaker? We have 10 more people that have not voted yet. Who wants to break this tie? Okay. So someone else voted, but okay, we got it's even more tied up now. So it sounds like you guys are kind of indifferent between all of them. So maybe I could break this tie. I think trading multiple assets at once would be pretty cool. Right. I think that's something that would work quite well. Personally, I think that would work well. Forex, I think it could work well for Forex as well. Again, I'm not as well versed with Forex. Oh, we got another person here tweaking the parameters. Okay. All right. So Andrew says I'll switch out of Forex to multiple assets for the win. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay, so we got a three-way tie here. Let's end this poll. I'll share it with you guys, the answers. I will end it. I'll share the results. And you guys can see basically what happened here. We have a three-way tie. So I guess I could be the tiebreaker here. I kind of agree also multiple assets. Actually, I think maybe we should start off with maybe tweaking the parameters first, right? Because tweaking the parameters is something that's quite simple to do, right? And we can get maybe pretty easy results very quickly, right? So maybe we could start with that first, and then we can do trading multiple assets, and then we can focus on Forex and stocks and futures. All right. So I think that sounds like a plan to me. Anyone else want to chime in before we get started with that?
No, sir. Let's do it.
All right, let's run with it. Okay. So this thing is still running this back test. It took a little while to download some of this pricing data for Bitcoin, right? But you'll see essentially, I'll show you what the result looks like because just to speed this up a little bit, I already have the logs of this, right? So I can show you guys the result. Adobe Bands V2. There it is. So this is what the result looks like, okay? So when you look at this strategy, you see a couple of things, right? So first of all, the return is quite good. It did 36% a year returns, right? Which is, I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty damn good for me, especially considering that the risk isn't that crazy. When you compare it to Bitcoin here, right? So you see the yellow is Bitcoin, and the blue is the strategy, this Bollinger Band strategy, okay? You can see that when Bitcoin goes off on this tangent, right? Like, for example, in 2020, it just went off. It was like a rocket ship. It shot up like crazy. It didn't do so well in those moments, right? That's not what it's made for, right? But more recently, it's performed very, very well. So even though Bitcoin has fallen like crazy, this thing actually still performs well and is up a lot, right? So that does two things, right? First of all, it means that it can make money or has been making money even when Bitcoin is down or trending sideways, right? So Bitcoin doesn't have to be shooting up for us to be making money with it. And the other thing is that you notice it's also a lot less risky, right? Where Bitcoin is doing this like crazy up and down motion, this one is basically just going straight through. It's a lot more stable. It's not making these like big ups and downs, right? So it outperformed Bitcoin by a good chunk of percentages, right? So over this whole time period from 2020, January until now, it did 444% overall. So more than five times your money, almost 5.5 times your money you would have gotten if you had invested in this, which is pretty damn good, right? To make more than 5 times your money in, what is that, 3.5 years? But Bitcoin also did pretty well. It beat Bitcoin by a pretty sizable amount, right? This is our return over the entire time period. This is our return over only or annualized, right? What is the annual return, right? Then we also see our max drawdown. This is the interesting part, I think, right? Where Bitcoin has this big max drawdown. That's this big loss. What's the biggest loss it ever had? It dropped almost 80%. This is a huge drop. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been trading Bitcoin. I kind of sold around the peak, so I was pretty happy about my decision. But for the people that held Bitcoin through this, I can imagine it was really not a fun experience. Right, here's the results of what we just ran. And basically the same result, right? So yeah, so you can see that drop, right? For Bitcoin was quite extreme. We did not have that drop in the strategy. There's only a 46% loss, which is still, reasonably high, but for 36% a year, I think that's a pretty good trade-off, I think, right? And then the volatility was also lower, yeah? But there's a lot of things that we could do to improve this, right? So let's talk about tweaking this thing, right? So here's also another view of what it did. You can see here, these are all the times where it bought and sold. You see it's basically buying and selling, or you can see, maybe this is even a better thing, right? I'm going to get rid of these EMAs. And you can basically see that it buys when Bitcoin drops a lot, right? It buys there, it sells there, buys there, sells there, buys there, sells there, right? So it's been making these like little profits as it's been going up and down, right? So it does quite well in that situation, right? So what would you guys want to tweak about it, right? I know someone mentioned changing our standard deviation to 3. We can try that, right? So I can introduce this right here. Basically, we have the standard deviation gets included here. Where's it? There you go, B bands. We could basically change it here. So we can go like this. VFTA, B bands. I think it's trying to find what this is. It's AI is recommending me to do STD2. So let's see if that actually works. I'm going to run this just to test it out. And then if that works, what we'll do is we'll add a parameter in here that'll say standard deviation. The standard deviation is used for Bollinger Bands 2, right? You know, there's a suggestion to change it to 3. I actually think changing it to like 1.5 would probably work better, just judging based off of the chart here. If you're looking at it, right? I think if we close this up a little bit, then we might actually see something better. But we could try it out, right? This is basically, you know, you can see here, let's say if we zoom in, right? Here's, it hits the top, and then hits the bottom, hits the top, right? It's actually not trading very often, only trades like once a month or so, right? And I think if we close in the Bollinger Bands, I think it might actually do a bit better with smaller standard deviation. That's my personal thoughts, right? But we can check to see how that works. All right, I'm just waiting for this thing to run. And I'm going to make a little note to myself because I want to actually work on speeding this up. So I'm going to make a little note to myself, make this run faster for you guys going forward. That sorry, Brian, you had a question? Hello? Okay, so we're running this here. We're getting this Bollinger Bands. Let's continue. I'm going to see if this actually does what it's supposed to do. Make sure it doesn't crash. Okay, so it looks like this is actually working as intended. Okay, there we go. So why don't we run a test trying out the standard deviation? Okay, so I'm going to add in this extra parameter, standard deviation. I'm going to add this in here. And we'll try both 3. We'll try a standard deviation of 3, and we'll try a standard deviation of 1.5, right? We could try both of those, and we'll see which one works out better, and if either of them improve our results. We could run both of these at the same time here. All right, so I'm running one, and I'm running the other at the same time. Okay, any other tweaks that you guys would want to make after seeing the results? So another thing that happens, by the way, is whenever we're not invested in Bitcoin, it also invests in an asset called USFR. So it basically makes a little bit of interest. Right now, USFR pays 4.7% in dividends, and it barely moves. So it's a very stable asset, but has a very high dividend rate, which is why we invest in USFR, right? But we could swap that out to be something else as well. So I have a question here from Roland. Quick question. I'm new here. Do I need Python programming knowledge to be able to follow along if I register for one of your plans? Roland, no, you do not need to know how to code. If you want to, you can learn how to code and you can learn how to modify these things. But a lot of people that are here, not coders, right? I'm doing the coding, right? That's kind of the whole point, right? So you guys tell me what to build, I'll build it. And all you need to know is how to set it up, right? Which we have a workshop that teaches you how to do that. Or if you need additional help, I can get on a call with you and show you how to do that, right? But you absolutely do not need to know how to code. If you know how to code, you can do some pretty freaking cool stuff, right? But you don't need to know it, because I'm going to be the one coding, and you'll be able to just use this code and run it yourself. So you just need to know how to run it. That's it, right? It's a great question, Roland. Thank you. So John asks, all this code is being written in the Lumi Wealth software with AI assistance. Yes, exactly. I use AI all the time, right? You'll notice whenever I build strategies, you know, I almost don't write any code anymore either, right? Like AI is building most of the stuff for me. Roland says, thanks, it's very helpful. No problem, Roland. Okay, so we have both of these back tests running right now. Okay, so we're running. So it's going to take a few minutes for it to finish up. I feel like I need to get a faster computer. But what else would you guys like to modify? So we're modifying the standard deviation. We're trying a standard deviation of 3. We're trying a standard deviation of 1.5. We'll see if either one of these improve our back tests. I think some other things that we can try is we could change the length of our Bollinger Bands, how many days. We could also change this fixed income symbol. We can maybe make it invest in like, I think one good thing would be like QQQ or SPY. That'd be pretty interesting, right? Because if it's not in Bitcoin, it'll be in the stock market, right? So you're kind of getting a double benefit there, right? Or even a leverage symbol like UPRO or something. And then we could also change these fast and slow and days length. This is when it goes into this other mode where it switches from Bollinger Bands to trend following, right? These are the parameters that change that. What would you guys want to do? Or do you guys want to see some more things of how this thing performs to kind of make your decision? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so John says, I'd like to change the time intervals, like a 15-minute chart, 1 hour or 4 hour. So John, I actually don't think that's going to make a difference here, right? Because when we're looking at these lengths, these are all in days, right? So this is 20 days, 50 days, 45 days, right? So if we change the time, it's whether it's a 15-minute chart or 10-minute chart, that doesn't really matter, right? This strategy runs once a day, right? So maybe we can make it more frequent than once a day. That'll take a little while for it to backtest. But all of our Bollinger Bands and everything, this is all calculated in days. So it's not really going to make a difference changing that chart, right? However, what we can do is we can change the length of the days, or we can even have this thing run more often than daily, right? We could have this thing run every hour or something, although that's going to take a while to backtest, right? So just forewarning there, right? If you want to change how often it runs, which maybe makes sense because intraday, maybe like if there's these big moves, you could actually take advantage, right? Bollinger Bands, they tend to work better on shorter time intervals. So maybe that's actually not a bad idea to switch that over, right? What do you think, John? What are your thoughts on that based on kind of the feedback I gave there?
Yeah, I figure I can quit typing. No, I appreciate it. I experiment with Bollinger Bands a lot. I use the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour charts. I look at the dailies. Yeah, I had found some success using the 3 on smaller time frames, both in futures and crypto. So yeah, it was just seeing the daily because, like you said, it's not going to generate a lot of signals out on the 3.
Yeah,
At least on the daily. But I thought, well, if I got it down to an interval of 15 minutes, or, if I was just able to test the software to run even on a 1 minute interval, which would be pretty extreme. That's all. I'm just wondering.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we could
quite a
try
noob
that.
in coding.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm a noob in coding. I've been trying
Okay.
to learn how to do it.
Yeah, that's no
All that.
problem. That's why I'm here, right? That's why I'm the one building
Yep.
this right now, right? So, you
Right.
kind of get two benefits: is A, I write this code so you could use this code, but B, hopefully in seeing me do this, you actually learn a little bit of how to actually do this, right?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, we can reduce this time interval. Maybe we make it run on like a 1 hour chart instead of a 1 day chart. However, if I were to do that, I would shorten our back testing interval, right? Because it's going to take forever for these 3 years. What I would do is maybe just trade it over the past few months and just kind of see how that works over the past few months. Does it make an improvement or not? We can try that. Would you be open to that? Is that something that you think would address kind of what you're thinking about?
Sorry, were you asking me that?
Yeah, yes. Yes.
And sorry, could you repeat it because I think I glitched in my head.
Okay, yeah, no
Sorry.
problem. So what I was saying is that if we lower the time frame to be 1 hour, it's going to take forever if we're back testing
Sure.
from 2020 until now. That's a very intense back test.
That's a long time. Huge.
Yeah, so we can just do it over the past few months, right? We could try
That's
that.
fine.
Yeah, you want to try that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a few months would probably, in theory, it should still calculate pretty approximately the same way, whether you're using 3 years of data or 2 months of data, at least on a 1 hour time interval.
Yeah, maybe on a 1 hour because it's way more frequent, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's more relative too, because the data from 3 years ago, you know, the way these things trade, they change. I come up with a term today. It's not really came up with it, but I just think the markets are bipolar, and you don't, one day something works, and the next day everything changes, and it's
Yep.
not what you thought worked on day one doesn't work on day two.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I figured, well, at least testing 2 months or a shorter range might be more relevant as opposed to a 3 year range.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so we could try that right as soon as these things are finished back testing, which are getting pretty close to being done. But yeah, so you're totally right, because back in this day, for example, in 2020, like late 2020, early 2021, it's a very different market from today, right? Like this Bollinger Band strategy does really well when it was coming down or going sideways, which is the past 2 years. But
Yep.
when it's in like that hyperbolic mode, like it was 2020, that's a very different market. Like Bollinger
Yeah,
Bands.
you'll get blitzed.
Yeah, exactly. It no longer works in that situation. Okay, so
Yep.
we have some results here. So this is, let me check here. It's a Bollinger Band upper. It looks like this is maybe the 1.5. Right, that's what I think it is. Right, and then we'll see the 3 in a second as well. Right, so it's the 1.5. It didn't do as well, I think, when we did 1.5. Right, and then here's the 3. This is looking much more interesting, actually. Wow, you had a good point there. I forget who said that. Three standard deviations. That actually seems to work pretty damn well.
Yeah, that's I've been testing it.
Oh
That was
yeah.
me.
Okay.
Yep.
That was a good
I
suggestion. Look at this. It did quite well. It did 46%. We just increased the returns of this by just changing that. So this was 2 standard deviations. It did 36% a year. This is 1.5. It actually made it do worse. So I was wrong about that. And this is 3. And it just jumped to 46%. Our max drawdown increased along with it, right? But this works well. Yes, and basically skipped over this whole big drop. Made a little bit of money here, made this increase. This seems like a pretty good modification, I think, to change it to 3 standard deviations. Very cool.
Yeah, which is why I've been trying to figure out how to write the code.
Well, you just use this code.
I've really struggled trying to understand it. I've been a part of just getting emails from Lumi Wealth for a while. I'm like, okay, I've got to figure out something here to get this code to work.
You can just use this code, right?
Fair enough.
If you sign up to a pro plan, you get access to all this code they're working on today, and you can go through our workshop. They'll show you how to set it up, right? And I can actually help you out if you need help.
Okay.
Cool. So those are good. Let me try those other things that that you're talking about. So let's switch this to a 1 hour interval, right? And I'm gonna keep it at a standard deviation of 2 because I'm removing too many things at once. Right. So I'm gonna put standard deviation of 2. I'm gonna change it to a 1 hour interval, right? We're gonna back test from June 1st till basically today, right? I guess 2 days ago, whatever. Just because we have the data, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And we'll try 1 hour versus 1 day. And so here I'm gonna run 1 day over this time interval. And then we're gonna also try 1 hour. I'm gonna run both of those and we'll see the results. Right. And there's a few other chats in here. Okay, so what did the rest of you guys say? So Jim says, when the algos are running, do we need to be watching the progress and or attending the trades? No, you do not, Jim. That's kind of the whole point, right? That's why we run bots. So you don't have to pay attention to this. All my bots, I forget about them. Honestly, they run all the time, and I do not even pay attention to what the heck is running anymore. I kind of just get the notification after a little while saying how much money it made or whatever. But when I run these algorithms, I like forget they even exist. So you do not need to be monitoring them or anything like that. Theater says, let's do it. I like that. Very cool. Jim says, sweet. Very cool. So far we found one way to improve this algorithm, right? Historically speaking, we would have made 46% a year doing this algorithm. That's pretty damn cool. I like that modification. So now let's see what happens when we switch it to 1 hour plots and versus 1 day. And so here is, I'm gonna see when this finishes up. Okay, I'm assuming this is our 1 hour. Yeah. You see here that 1 hour takes quite a bit longer. Right, here's a 1 day over this time period, which this isn't going to be a surprise to us because we already know this, right? Here's how it did with 1 day interval. Actually, it didn't even beat it over the past since June, right? I guess because of this run up right now here in Bitcoin, right? This is where Bitcoin beat us over this 6-month period, right? As things stayed flat. I guess because it passed the Bollinger Band and went into sell mode, right? So let's see if the 1 hour interval fixes that. And so here's 1 hour. It's going to take, it's saying 22 minutes. I feel like it's going to be faster than that. But why don't we, do you guys want to take a quick 5-minute break? We could wait for these backtesting results. And if you guys want to use the bathroom or anything like that, get some water, whatever. I'll see you guys back in 5 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. See you guys back in 5 minutes. All right. Hey guys, is everyone back yet?
I'm here.
All right. A suggestion here from Theodore Collins. Make it 30 days. What do you want to make 30 days, Theodore?
The time of the back test. Instead of going 6 or 3 months or 4 months, if we went 30 months, or I mean 1 month, what you think would be the difference?
Yeah, I mean, basically 1 month would be this right here. It would be basically this part here, right? I know if we did the past 1 month, I don't think that's the best time for a Bollinger Band strategy because basically Bitcoin is just shooting up.
Right.
I know it's not going to do as well there.
Yeah.
I think somewhere around a time period like this could work. It could work pretty well,
Uh-huh.
right? So we could try that, right? We
So-
could do a month.
We need to get it to where our blue line is more in line with the Bitcoin as it when it's going up.
Well, I don't know if that strategy is necessarily the one that we want to be using if Bitcoin is just shooting straight up. If Bitcoin is shooting straight up, I would think that a trend following strategy would work better. Right? This strategy kind of tries to do both. It tries to be a Bollinger Band strategy and trend following, but they're kind of like opposite things, right? They're like, they kind of, trend following means, as things go up, buy it, right? Whereas Bollinger Band is like, as things go up, sell it, right? So it's like, they're kind of opposites, right?
Yeah.
So you can see here, when you look at the strategy, Bollinger Band strategy, it does quite well when Bitcoin is just trending sideways or going down, right? Shit went down and we're going
across, and up.
Right, but you see when Bitcoin shoots straight up, we don't go up as much.
Right.
Except with that modification where we have 3 standard deviations. Then we followed it quite well, actually. Made quite a bit of money here. Right, so
That's
far,
the one we want to use right there, then, isn't it?
what was that?
I said that's the one we want to use right there.
So far, yes. Yeah, so far this seems like it's the best modification, right? We increased the standard deviation to be 3, and you can see this thing is just like a rocket ship. It went with Bitcoin all the way up.
Right.
But then when it fell, it kind of exited, right? And it didn't go through this whole period here.
Right. And it stayed higher when Bitcoin went lower, it stayed higher than Bitcoin did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like that one. That's the one I'm going to get with you to install on my computer.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting a trading computer, and I'm thinking I just want to put this and use that computer, for this in my trading only. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put this on my computer. I would put this in the cloud.
Okay. Well, wherever you suggest me put it, that's where I want to put it.
I think the cloud makes more sense.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because when you run an algorithm on your computer, you have to worry about your computer, right? Like if the power goes out, if like you shut it off or something, and like, it's finicky, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas if you run in the cloud, you forget about it, right? It's someone else's problem, they have to make sure this thing's running, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do with mine, right? Like all my algorithms are all running in the cloud. I don't run anything on my computer except for tests, right? I build it on my computer and then I run it, right? That's what I do.
All right. Well, I need to put it on my computer to build it or work with it, and then put it on the cloud. We'll do them both at the same time, maybe.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, because that right there looks good, and then that way I can just start with Bitcoin at my own price, and just keep working at it, growing Bitcoin. I mean, too.
Awesome, man. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'll get with you. I'm still just right now processing and trying to get caught up. Yeah, but we're getting it in. Getting the lingo down and stuff like that. So
100%. Well, let me know if you need any help.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's coming. It's coming. Yes. Yeah. But I like that. I like that a lot right there.
Yeah, this is a pretty nice result. I agree with you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have so I'm just gonna read off some more comments here. So Mario Mendez is saying this is great. I like it 100%. I agree with you on that, Mario. LSC says with Bitcoin is every Friday is shooting up. Try every weeks or every 7 days. Yeah, we could do that. We could change our length of a lot of our things here. So we're almost gonna be done this 1 hour test. I'm gonna switch it back to 1 day because this is taking quite a while to back test. And what I'll do is I'll even start a back test from 2022 January, just because this way we can run through this faster, right? We can get results quicker. Okay, so I hear one idea here from LSC to try it every 7 days. So I'm thinking Bollinger Band length 7 days. Is that what you mean, LSC? Let me know if that's what you mean.
Yes, I guess. I'm not a good reader of programs, but yes, I guess. I think it's the right thing to do.
Well, again, you don't need to be an expert programmer. This is all the different parameters here, right? So it's like
Okay.
asset is Bitcoin, your secondary asset is Ethereum, your
Uh-huh.
Bollinger Band's length, we had originally 20,
Yeah.
right? So I'm changing that to 7. Let's wait for this thing to load up here. The 1 hour doesn't seem like it really did too much. This is the 1 hour. Blue is us. Yeah. I don't know about the 1 hour.
It's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim. Jim, you recommend the 1 hour. To me, it sounds like the 3 standard deviation was a better idea than this. Although maybe we could tweak it still, right? This is like preliminary results for the 1 hour, right? Maybe there's a lot. I mean, actually, I bet there's a lot that we can do to improve on when we do the 1 hour time scale. And one thing that I'm thinking too, if we're doing the 1 hour time scale, is we have all of our lengths. Like maybe this makes more sense to adjust the Bollinger Band length, right? So let's try this. Let's try 7, right? I'll run the 7. Right. At the same time, I'm also going to run the 20 over the same time period. So we have an idea of how it performs relatively speaking, right? Because we want to have both in the same time period, so that way we can compare them, right? Okay, so we're testing 7 Bollinger Band length versus 20. So I'm going to remove this because this is our 1 hour. That didn't work out as well. This was, I don't know what this was. I'm going to remove that, right? And so far, we have our 3 standard deviation. This is my idea of the 1.5 standard deviation. This one's no good either. And we have 2 standard deviation versus 3 standard deviation. These so far are best results, right? Okay, now we're trying out Bollinger Band length of 7. All right. So what else do you guys want to try out? We're trying a 7 Bollinger Band length. What else would you guys like to try? We can keep tweaking this, or we could also try to do the next thing that you guys talked about on the list, and that's trying to use multiple assets and doing Bollinger Bands and multiple assets at a time.
Multiple assets.
You wanna do
Multiple assets.
multiple assets? We got 2 votes for that. Okay, all right. So why don't we start working on that then? Unless anyone else has a different opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this code. I'm going to make a new strategy. I'm going to call it crypto B bands multi-asset. That's what I'm going to call it. So if you guys have our pro plan or all access plan and you have access to this folder, it's going to be called that. It's going to be called crypto B bands multi-asset. All right, I'm going to copy this code over. I'm going to modify it from this code. Okay, so let's start off here. All right, let's think about this a little bit, how we want to do this. So one thing I'm thinking is instead of asset, we'll have assets, plural, and we'll have Bitcoin, Ethereum. What else would you guys want to trade? What do you guys like trading? Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Litecoin's in there.
Litecoin, we can throw in Litecoin. I think Solana is another good one. Sol. Why don't we leave it at that? Because it's going to take a while to download the data. We can tweak and modify from here. So we'll have assets. 80 says stocks. Okay, 80, we could do stocks after this, right? Because we have to modify it a little bit to work on stocks. So how about after we do this with multiple assets, we can do with stocks, right? Because I know you've been asking for that. So we'll get that covered, right? And then we could also take a look at Forex, right? So we'll do this, the multi-asset, and then we'll do stocks and Forex, right? Okay, so here I'm going to modify this from being asset to assets. Right, 80, 10, 4. Awesome, very cool. Okay, so we change it to assets. All right, so now we're going to want to go calculate the number of days, which you guys struggle with data for. No, instead here, I'm going to go loop over all of the assets, right? And then I'm going to move this BB upper, BB lower. Oh, there you go. We have a result here. I think this might be the 7. Okay. This was negative, but it beat Bitcoin, even though it was negative. We'll see the other one. So I'm wait for us to finish off. And there's a chat here. Theodore says cool. Awesome. I'm trying to figure out how we can see which one was 7 and which one was. This is okay. This is the original. This is 20. Okay. This thing did really well. Right? You can see here, kicked ass, right? Bitcoin was down. We were up. I know I recognize this graph. That's why I know this is the 20 because I was playing around with this. So the 7-day actually did worse. Right. So it seems like doing shorter intervals, it didn't perform as well.
No,
It still beat Bitcoin, right? But it didn't beat the 20-day.
okay.
Yeah. So Elsie, what were you saying there?
Oh, yeah. Is that my result? The first one is my result.
Yeah. So this is the original, and this is the result for 7.
That's mine. Okay,
Yeah.
this one is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's negative.
Yeah. It didn't do as well.
Oh, but it has beaten Bitcoin though.
It is being Bitcoin. You know, we can try this over a longer time period, and maybe it performs better over a longer length. But this is the original, and the original did quite well, right?
That's over 20 days, right? You said. Oh no, that's
this is over almost 2 years.
2 years, yeah. Okay.
2022 January until about today.
Oh, okay.
So this is how the original did. It made a 40% return, whereas 7 days did negative 25. Right, so pretty big difference actually. You know, yeah. Maybe we could go the opposite direction, right? We could try doing, you know, instead of 7, we can go 30. Maybe that works even better, right? Would you want
but you got your return on 7 days, right? Instead of getting your return on 2 years.
Well, the whole length of the back test
Yeah, but okay, you would
is
always
2
do-
years,
Yeah.
right? But the Bollinger Band length is 7 days,
Yeah. I know.
right?
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So we could try doing longer. We could try 30 days. Would you want to try that? Or something like that? Would you want to try 30?
Yeah.
Sounds good. 30 sounds perfect.
Yeah, so let's run that.
Yep.
We'll try 30. Yeah, so it seems like shorter isn't better. Maybe we could try 30. We could even try maybe like 15, right? We can play around with a bunch of these different things, right? Okay, but while that's running, I'm going to work on this multi-asset thing. Okay, so basically we want to loop over each asset one at a time. So we're going to have to get all of this stuff, longer bands, EMAs. I'm going to move all these things inside the for loop. All right, we'll call it, we're going to have to change this now. We're going to have to go symbol or asset dot symbol price. I'll go.
Where did you sleep, Evan?
Wait, what was that? Okay, so we'll go asset dot symbol upper BB. We'll go asset dot symbol lower BB. And we'll go slow EMA. Let AI do this. Slow EMA and fast EMA. There we go. Okay, and then we check here. Are we good? For super trend, we're detecting super trend. If we have been in super trend mode, so we should buy, right? We're only going to buy the single asset now because it's going to be a little different. All right. This is the first time I'm running a strategy. And we'll do this all the way here. Okay, so basically we're going to do the exact same operation on each asset one at a time. So we're going to go one asset at a time. We're going to get the Bollinger Bands for it. Right. Then we're going to get the EMAs to determine the super trend. We're going to graph all those lines. Then we're going to check, are we in a super trend? Right. So here's a super trend counter. This might have to be per asset. Right. For all assets. Yeah. And then here we'll go super trend counter for asset dot symbol. Here we're gonna do the same thing, reset it. Okay, so I'm just modifying all this code to basically work for multiple assets. Right. And here we're gonna go super trend counter. If it's greater than that, then we buy, right? And I think what we need to do is we'll go check if we should sell. I remember when we created this buy asset, we had check current position for the asset, considering the buy. We already have a position, so we should not buy. Okay. So what I'm thinking here is we need to change this a little bit. We'll go, I'm going to have this thing called assets to buy. Oh, here's our 30, result of our 30. Let's see this in a second. Okay, here's 30 days. So also not as good. The 20 days seems to be doing better. So here's 20 days. All right. Here's 30 days Bollinger Bands. It seems like the 20 days seems to be like a sweet spot. We can keep playing around with that if you guys want. All right, let me know if you guys want to try out different lengths. So far, it seems like 20 20 Bollinger Band length is a sweet spot, which maybe makes sense because a lot of people follow the 20-day length Bollinger Bands. It's kind of like a standard setup. So maybe that's the reason why. But it's better than the 7 days, right? The 7 days did this, right? -10. The 30 days did -3, so it's better, right? But still the best is this one, where we did 13% a year, right? Whereas 20 the long band length. Let me know if you want to modify that, LSC or anyone else.
What do you think is the next best way to update it?
Well, right now we're working on multiple assets, right? We're working on multi-assets. If we're going to try, maybe we should run something else here while we're at it. Right, so we had 20 days. One thing I would really like to actually try is instead of USFR to try to use QQQ or something like that, or SPY. Right, I think
Sounds good.
Right, I think that could be an interesting modification, right? Our original setup, but then when we're not in Bitcoin, we invest in the stock market, right? So kind of a different setup, but let's see if that works out. The stock market all does pretty well, right? So even if Bitcoin's not doing well, then we invest in the stock market and we like flip back and forth, right? So we can see if that works. Just a guess, right?
Robert, when we're investing in the stock market, the bot is using the same parameters as it does with Bitcoin, correct?
Well, what it's doing is it's trading Bitcoin on the Bollinger Bands, right? And if it's not in Bitcoin, it'll be in the stock market.
Okay.
That's what this is, right? That's the test. Because before it was, when it was not in Bitcoin, it was in USFR, which is just earning dividends, right? It was a very stable asset. It was just earning. So instead of that, it will be now investing in SPY or QQQ, actually, which is the NASDAQ.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. I see a chat here. Jim says, dumb question. There's never a dumb question, Jim. But I'm not following the B-Band's results chart. How is the blue line making money on the trades? So you want to see the actual trades chart? I'm assuming is what you mean, Jim. So this is the trades chart. Okay. So the tear sheet is just the result. This is basically how it performed overall, right? If we ran this strategy from January 2022 up until today, this is how it would have performed versus Bitcoin. But if you want to know exactly what it traded, this is what it traded, okay? It's the red is all these sales and green is all these purchases. So you can see here that on January 3rd at around midnight, it bought 1.9 Bitcoin, okay? And then it held it for a while and then sold here on February 8th around midnight. And then it bought back on February 8th. It sold Bitcoin and it bought USFR, right? Okay, on February 8th. And then on February 22nd, it sold the USFR and went back into Bitcoin, right? And it bought 2.3 Bitcoins. So it's good. So we picked up more Bitcoins. And then up here, it sold the Bitcoin and bought USFR, right, on March 25th. And then April 12th, it sold the USFR and bought Bitcoin. Is this kind of answering your question, Jim, of what it was doing? Let me check the chat here. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you want to look at the trades chart for that, right? The tear sheet chart is the result, like the end result. The trades chart will tell you how it got there, like what exactly it did. You can see the points here, buy and sell, right? And then the green line, which is how much cash you had, right? So you see we had a lot of cash at the beginning and then it dropped down because we bought a bunch of stuff, dropped down, and you see cash kind of moving around. And then the red line, you can see Bitcoin, right? We can like zoom in on this chart and all that too. You can like zoom in here, right? You look at specifically what happened. Yes. So the question is, does the chart show the running profits on the trades? And yes, it does. This is the running profits. The blue line is the running profits, right? So it's the value of the entire portfolio, right? So we started off at around 100,000, actually exactly 100,000 was our portfolio value, right? And then this is how the portfolio value changed, right? The blue chart. You can see how it changes on a minute by minute basis, right? Actually, I guess it's a daily basis. Here's what's showing. All right. Got it. Perfect. Awesome. Cool. It's a good question. I think it's a very good question because a lot of people wonder about that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so this thing is almost done. Let's see how it works out with buying QQQ instead of USFR. This is a very different looking chart. It is a much more, didn't do as well. So we're still our best was when we switch it to 3 standard deviations. That was still our best idea, I think, so far. Right, because here's the original is 13% up, whereas when we change it to be QQQ, instead of 13%, we made 1.8, which kind of makes sense because Bitcoin and NASDAQ have been correlated, right? They tend to be moving in lockstep lately, right? When the stock market goes up, Bitcoin goes up and vice versa. So, maybe that wasn't the best idea. We'll switch it back to USFR, right? There's multi-asset. I almost have working here. So let me finish this up. So we go one asset at a time. We go through our Bollinger Bands. We put our lines. We now have our super trend counter, right? We're going to check per asset. Okay. We check, do we have that? And then now instead of by asset, we're going to do this. We're going to include assets to buy and assets to sell. Right, we'll go here, we'll go instead of buy asset, right? So assets to buy, append, assets to buy, append, assets to buy, append, and then this is assets to sell. See, notice that AI is doing all this work for me. It's freaking amazing. I like barely write code anymore. I love it. Okay, and once we're out of this loop, we'll go sell all the assets that we should sell, right? For asset and sell, self.sell asset, perfect. In this case, sell asset, fixed income symbol. Let's just take that. I think in this case, maybe we should get rid of this fixed income symbol stuff, right? That kind of doesn't make sense anymore for owning all these assets at once, or at least we'll have to find out some other way to do it. And then we'll get rid of that as well. So we just basically buy the asset. Okay. Those aren't being used. That's not being used. Okay, cool. So sell asset. And then we'll sleep after we sell everything. So we get the cash, sleep. Right? So sleep to make sure everything goes through before we buy. And then we buy all of them, right? But before that, we'll go calculate percentage percent of portfolio use for each asset, right? So 1 divided by length, we'll actually go 0.95. I do this because of a thing with alpaca. So it's going to buy 95% of our portfolio, and we'll go through and we'll buy each asset. Okay, so let's run this and let's see what happens. All right, and let's see if if I code this correctly. So now it's going to be doing this Bollinger Band thing on 3 different assets or 4 different assets at a time, right? Which is pretty interesting. I think it would be really cool and you guys have brought this up before too, is what if they weren't all Bitcoin or Ethereum? What if it was like crypto and stocks and Forex and was just doing that for all these different things at a time? I think that could be really interesting, especially if some of them are like uncorrelated, right? It could do it for the VIX, and it could do it for Bitcoin. It could do it for Litecoin. It could do it for a Forex symbol, and it could do it on, I think that'd be a really cool thing to try out. AD says yes. Awesome. That got your attention, huh? I think that's a cool one to try. So we'll have to make that modification, because right now, pretty much only works for crypto, and it's like this small little bug that's preventing it from working on different assets. And this is the way. This is the way. I like it. Got a Star Wars fan here. Okay, so I'm going to let this run because it's going to take a little bit of time. Maybe in the meantime, while we're doing that, I can do what you're talking about. All right. So we'll call this we'll call this actually, I'll go into here. We'll copy this whole thing. Oh, wait a minute. We actually have to rename this too. Crypto B bands multi-asset, or else we're going to get confused as to which one. Multi-asset. I'm going to rename it. So Jim says, can you do multiple stocks and REITs? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're all just tickers, right? Yeah, we could definitely do all that. We could do REITs, we could do stocks, we could do VIX, we could do all sorts of stuff, right? Like we can definitely go across the board there. And so here I'm just going to see what's happening. Okay, so first iteration, so it adds the asset. Perfect. That's exactly what I would expect it to do. So I'm going to let it continue. Okay, so I'm going to copy this strategy, and we'll call this, and this is actually the first time I've ever built a strategy like this, right? I'll call it any B bands V2, right? And if you guys know kind of the nomenclature that I usually use whenever we build algorithms, it's like the type of asset. So it's like crypto, whatever strategy, or options, whatever strategy, or, and this one we'll call any, right? Which means it could be either crypto or stocks or whatever, right? So allow it to really take on any type of asset. So I'm going to make that modification here. All right, so rename this. To be called any B bands V2. Okay, so any B bands V2. And I know that the issue was basically this. It was basically, the problem was it wasn't calculating Bollinger Bands properly. So I'm going to change this to be QQQ. Actually, better yet, I'm going to make this TQQQ, which is one of my favorite things to trade. Right, it's a triple leveraged NASDAQ. If you don't know what it is, it's like a freaking rocket ship. This thing does really, really well, or has performed very well, very, very well. So we'll use that, right? And I'm going to run this, and we'll see how. Actually, we never finished running this first. This looks like it's good. I'll let it go. And I'm going to need the debugger. We'll let this thing run for a second. So far, it looks like it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, but basically the problem with when it was running only on crypto was this B bands thing here, right? And the problem was that we asked for historical prices for a specific length, right? But the problem is that it's not able to get length over that whole time period for stocks, because stocks don't have 24-hour trading. Right, so the length is incorrect, right? So we're asking for all this time going back, but we're actually getting a different time period, right? Or at least that's what I think is the issue, right? We can test that out. Right, we're gonna let this thing run. Actually, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna free up the debugger. And so far, this is looking good. Our multi-asset so far is looking like it's doing what's supposed to do, but I'm going to let it run. We'll see the results of it. And I'll run this any B bands. I'm going to run this. I want to see exactly what the problem is. All right, we'll get both of those going. Cool. What are you guys thinking so far? Any questions, comments, thoughts?
It was good, man. Excellent bot. Yeah.
Cool. So far, this 3 times this is our winner right now. You know, changing that the Bollinger Band's standard deviation. This made a really nice impact. I really like this one so far. And it didn't lose too much even when it went down. Like this is looking like a winner, you know.
Which one is this one?
So this is when we modified crypto B bands, it's the original V2, but we modified this to be standard deviation of 3. Right, that's what we did. When we use this with 3 standard deviation, we got a really nice result. And this is that result, right? 46% a year. Pretty damn good.
Have we applied that to Forex yet?
We have not done that yet, no. So
Working
right,
on the stock one right now.
what's that?
We're working on the stock one right now.
Yeah, so I'm working on stocks, and we could do. It'll kind of be the same thing with Forex, right? If we can make it work with stocks, we can make it work with Forex. You know?
Perfecto. Yeah.
Okay, so we're running that. Okay, here's the B bands. Okay, so minute count was 72,000. And then when we run this, our B bands, and check this out here. And I think basically it comes out as blank. That's the problem. Yeah. NaN values, NaN values. I'll load all this, but I think basically it comes out to being nothing. So Jim asked the question, is everything typically measured on a yearly basis, or can you run it for a day, week, or months? Yeah, you could definitely run it for like a day, a week, or a month. I personally think it's preferable to run it over a few months or years, right? Just because then you could see it over like different types of markets, right? So I really like running, like for example, crypto since 2020, right? Because then you get to see the big run up for crypto, and you get to see the crash, and you get to see the like lull that's happened, right? So I personally, when I run algorithms, when I backtest them, I like running them through a few different market conditions, because then I have more confidence that this thing will work in different conditions as well, right? But we can backtest it over just a month or a day if we wanted to as well. So if you're interested in that, Jim, we could definitely try that out. Yeah, so Jim says, right, to test the bot, but what about running the algo live in shorter time periods? Yeah, we could definitely do that. All you got to do to run it live in shorter time periods is you adjust your sleep time, right? This thing runs it once a day, but you could bring it down to up to 1 second, right? Have it run every 1 second if you want to. Right, it's very easy to switch that, right? You just change this 1S versus 1 minute versus 1 hour versus 1 day, right? It's very easy to switch. Cool. Yeah, awesome, Jim. Cool. Okay, so this is, I'm going to leave it at 2 because that was the original. But if you guys want to get this result, this is standard deviation of 3. All right, that's how you can modify that. Okay, so AD is saying this is what you kept running into. Yeah, this makes sense that you're going to run into this, because the amount of data points that we get for crypto is longer, right? But actually, this seems like it got it. This actually looks good. Let me see here. 288. Yeah, it's 288. Yeah, there. But I modified it. I think maybe the modification I made already would work for this, right? Because now it finds it in the columns, right? And basically the name of it is different, right? It has BB 28,000, Whereas before, it would assume that the length was BB 72,000. So now we have BB 28,000. So I think it actually just works already. I don't even think we need to modify it. Upper, lower, yeah, it's working. So this code already works. Yeah, I didn't even need to change anything. That's great. Cool. All right, so let's run it. I'm going to get rid of all these breakpoints and let it just do its thing. Awesome. Okay, well, I love it when that happens and I don't even need to change anything. We'll see on TQQQ, right, how that does. And I think if we're testing that, we should probably compare it to QQQ.
Good question.
Where's that? Yep. What's up?
How will we choose the assets when it comes to the stocks?
Well, you can choose it up here, or do you mean like which one do you want to pick?
That's the good way to go. Like, which ones will we choose for the stocks?
Well, right now this is using TQQQ. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's a really well-performing asset. Like if you look at, it's a triple leveraged NASDAQ. And if you look at the chart over the past couple of years, it's a freaking monster. This thing just kills it. Like if you had put your money into TQQQ like 10 years ago, you'd be rich out of your mind right now. You know what I mean? Like it's just a monster of a symbol. So I really like trading it. But the problem with it though, is that it goes up a lot, right? Now, let me show you what TQQQ looks like. It goes up a lot, but also has these big crashes, right? Which is why Bollinger Bands, I think, could help a lot with it, right? Because, so you see here, this is over a long time period, right? You can see that QQQ, if you had invested back here, it was at what, $1, right?
Yeah.
So it's at $1 in like 2013, right? And now it's at $35. So it did 35 times. So it's 3,500% in 10 years. That's crazy. That is one hell of a return. It seems like this crashed. Okay, this didn't work. We bought. Oh, this is a multi-asset. This didn't work. Something got screwed up here.
All right. Fair.
Fill. Where's our cash line? Why is there no cash? Something got all screwy here for a multi-asset. I have to investigate this. Something's not right with our multi-asset idea. I went and it bought that portfolio. I think it made the purchases correctly, but then why is it not showing us our cash? Something really weird happened with our cash. We transacted. Six Ethereum, half of Bitcoin. Litecoins of Solana. I'm gonna make a little note to myself here. Okay, so here's us trading TQQQ. It's compared to Bitcoin, which is not the right comparison, but it didn't do as well as the Bitcoin one. So here's us trading UPRO, right? But I'd like to see how this did versus the stock market. right? So it kind of went up. It's been doing sort of okay. This is on stocks. All right, so what do you guys think?
I think it's a great strategy, man.
I mean, it's beating Bitcoin, right? So I guess it's that, but it's still
Uh,
negative.
I don't think it looks okay. It's just a little bit above zero. He has made it a little bit compared to Bitcoin. It's okay. He went he shoot up, but according to zero, that's not good. It's
Yeah,
too low,
I
and
agree.
it goes down after what? At the end of the year, it's down.
Yeah,
It's under zero.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
So, what? So, tell me something. So, the zero barrier, it's what we invest, right? It's what he has
Yeah,
been
so that's where we
invested.
started off at. So this thing here, we would have lost money by the end of the
Yeah, of course.
yeah. We would have been
No,
down around 7%.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
So what's our most successful version thus far?
So far, switching it to a standard deviation of 3 has produced the best result. This is a 46% a year return. That's the best one that we've had so far.
Does it matter the asset that we trade?
It does matter. This is trading Bitcoin.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
So when we switched it to U Pro, we got a different result, or sorry, TQQQ. This is a different result, right? And then AD says, "What benchmark did you use?" The benchmark I used was Bitcoin, which is I agree with you, is incorrect. I think the right benchmark would be QQQ, right? I wouldn't benchmark. I mean, we could benchmark it against TQQQ, but I think people are just less familiar with it. So I would say QQQ, but I mean, that's a coin flip. I mean, if you think we should benchmark it versus TQQQ, I wouldn't argue against that.
Is it possible for us to set up notifications, the trade alerts for this bot?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, you can just run it, right? Like, I mean, you just
Right.
code and run it.
Yeah.
I'm setting up trade notifications right now on 3 different bots. Right now I'm kind of just trying to get the framework to work,
Yeah.
but my plan is that as we build more algorithms throughout like our Tuesday classes and our other classes, I want to
Yeah.
all any ones that we had good results with, I want to put them up and have these notifications with. Right. So that's eventually where I want to get to, but it's going to take some work to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Cool. All right, so we have this thing going here. So I'm basically running the same thing, benchmarking against QQQ, right? But clearly there's something off about it, right? We could figure out what that is. Right? I guess we'll see once we benchmark it against something more appropriate. I think we can get a better result or a better understanding of what's happening there. Right, so here is, I'm gonna cancel these out. And then while that's running, I'm also going to try to figure out what the hell happened with our multi-asset, right? Because for some reason it bought all this stuff, but it did not it's like it crashed or something. Right. So I want to see what happened there. I think it crashed for some reason. So I'm going to put a breakpoint around here. And actually, maybe even we can see error, not enough data for create tear sheet. So this is length asset float division by 0. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go like that. So if length asset to buy is greater than 0, Okay. I'm gonna do that. So I feel like this actually is gonna screw things up a little bit. We kind of have to say like what assets we own as well. Maybe just say we'll say check how many assets we currently own, excluding USD. Self dot get positions. Do something like that. So the num assets owned plus. I think that will do a better job here. And I'm going to rerun this as well. Okay, so here's our benchmark versus QQQ, right? This is trading TQQQ, so triple leveraged NASDAQ versus just the NASDAQ by itself. So seems like it's making some good decisions here, right? Because when the NASDAQ was falling, we were flat and we took advantage of this gain here. We lost a little bit. Overall, it's, I think if we were only in TQQQ, we would have lost quite a bit more, right? So this actually did better, right, than that, right? What do you guys think about this one, where we're trading the TQQQ, especially AD? I know you've had some ideas around this. What do you think around this one?
Complete lost.
Sorry? LSC, what was that?
Oh, no, I was saying it's a complete loss, right?
Well, it's not a complete loss. I mean, it's still beating the index, right? But it did lose money. Yes. Overall, it lost money over this time period, right? You also got to pay attention to the context, by the way, because this is a time when the whole index was down. This is in the middle of a bear market, right? So we could do this over a longer time period, right? Maybe that will help, right? Why don't we do that? And we'll go from 2020 up until today. I think you guys will see that the result is quite a bit different, right?
I got a question for you, Robert.
Yeah.
What do you think about adding sentiment data to this bot?
Yeah, maybe it would work.
Yeah.
What kind of sentiment data are you thinking in general?
Honestly, the only thing came to mind stuff like Twitter and such data.
Okay. I know there's so getting sentiment data directly from Twitter is a pain in the ass, right?
Okay.
But what we can do is there's websites that provide sentiment data.
Yeah.
Right? You want to like for example, go market sentiment, right?
Right.
Then there's a lot of FX stuff here. Say stock market sentiment, right? Fear and greed index, right? So you do something like this, right?
Yeah.
Right. This is CNN's, right? Their fear and greed index. We could take something like this, right? We could probably find something and like a historical result of this, and we could feed this into our algorithm, and we could probably use this. I think this is an interesting thing to do because I think sentiment tends to move against usually how the returns are, right? So that the idea is there's a saying: if a taxi cab driver, if you're in a taxi and he's recommending you to buy some stocks, sell everything you have, right? And if you're in a taxi and he thinks the stock market is a terrible idea, buy and leverage. You know what I mean? Because typically what the majority of people think is the exact opposite of what actually ends up happening in the stock market, right? Because usually people get really worried about the stock market when it's falling for a long time and there's bad news and whatever. But that tends to mean that the stock market is actually still very resilient, given that. And it means that even just a little bit of good news will make it pop like crazy, right? And vice versa. If everyone's euphoric and like is shooting up like crazy, then almost anything can pop it, right? So usually you want to go against this. You want to do the opposite of what this is saying. So according to that, and we can actually do the analysis on this, right? This is what I've read about. I've never actually ran the numbers myself, right? But right now it's saying fear. I'd say that's probably a pretty good buy indicator, right? It's probably a good time to buy the stock market based off the fact that it's saying it's a fear right now, right? We're pretty low on that fear index. We're almost at extreme fear, right? So I'd say right now is probably a good buying opportunity, just judging based off of that, right? But yeah, we can find that. We can figure out what's going on there. Okay, so this thing ran again, and there's an error again. So I'm going to figure out what the heck is wrong with this thing. Exception occurred. List index out of range. So wasn't able to get the B bands for some reason. Why was it not able to get that? Well, this is for TQQQ. That's what actually had an issue with. I plotted this out. Exception, any B bands. Any B bands. Okay, so we had an error here. So we can address that. We also had an error here. So both of them are acting up right now. Full division by 0, num assets owned. Right. So I actually messed this up. It was a very silly mistake. It's supposed to go num assets owned plus blank assets to buy. Right, so we should add the two together. So I'm going to rerun this. That's a silly mistake. And then any B bands, we had an issue in here. And it's because it wasn't able to get the Bollinger bands. I think this is the issue that you're having, AD, right? Where it's just, it wasn't able to find these columns. Right, so BBU columns wasn't able to find it. So let me rerun this. BBU columns 0. So why don't I just do this? I'll go if well, we'll see what happens here. Okay, so now we have both of these running. So we have the multi-asset one running, and we have the T triple Q running. All right, what do you guys think so far? Any comments, thoughts on what we're doing right now?
I think it's perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Awesome. I think we can improve this, right? We'll see how we can improve this. Well, when we do it over a longer time period, I think we'll see quite a significantly different result. Okay, there we go. So here it is. And this is at the very beginning, I think. See what this looks like. So here we have that. It didn't add the Bollinger Bands column at all. B bands 90 minutes, 2800. was trying to figure out why this is off here. It doesn't add in any longer bands at all. And my guess is that it's because this data frame is too long, right? So we'll go, or it's too short. So get the length of the DF. I'll do something like that. And I'll go, if the length is less than V-band's length, then we should return, no, then we should adjust V-band's length. Right, and we'll do this. I think this should fix the issue. This is probably the main issue that you were having, AD. I think this is kind of like where it all boils down to. So we'll run that, and then this, the multi-ass is still going. So we'll let that run. Okay, so we have this here. So DF length was 22,159, whereas this was 28,800. Yeah, this is the issue, 80, right? And this is probably because it's stocks, right? Because when we're running stocks, it's not going to have exactly every minute. There's holidays, there's weekends, there's it's missing, you know, nighttime, so it's going to be missing a whole bunch of stuff. So I think this is the way to fix it, right? We run this. So far looking good. If we go current upper, current lower, yeah, this is looking good. Okay, so I'm just going to let this thing run. And I think you'll see that when we run this over a longer time period, we're going to have very different results. Yeah, exactly. They aren't traded 24/7. Exactly, 80. Exactly. Right. That's the difference, right? Because the crypto stuff is 24/7. So we have all the data, but when we run it with stocks, it's going to have these missing gaps, right? So that's the issue here, is that it has the wrong Bollinger Band length, and when it has the wrong length, it can't calculate it properly and all that kind of stuff. So we make that adjustment here to be able to do it. And then I think another thing we got to change about this too is that this now has a secondary asset where it invests in Ethereum as well. And maybe we should just get rid of that. Or at least change it to be something else, maybe like U Pro, right? Something like that, because for it to invest in Ethereum just because NASDAQ is going up, it seems like a strange thing to do. So we have this running. This should give us a result pretty soon. Right, and we have our multi-asset. This actually seems to be working right now. It's very cool. So question AD asks, so should this one be saved as its own class for stocks and then the other class for crypto? Honestly, I would rather have it as like an any asset, right? Because now you could also switch it to crypto Forex. Now we could switch it to all sorts of other assets as well, right? With this modification, I think it allows you to do that, because now it's just checking for the names of the columns, and it automatically adjusts the length if it's too long, right? So we can do all that. So my suggestion is to leave in this any kind of state. 10-4, awesome, very cool. All right, so running back tests on both of these are going to take a little while to run. Maybe right now is a good time to take a quick little break, right? Because we're running this back test. They're going to take maybe another 5 minutes to complete, or 8 minutes here. Do you guys want to take a quick little break, use the bathroom, get some water, whatever you guys want to do, and I'll see you guys back here in 5 minutes. All right, I'll see you guys.
All right.
Sounds good. 5 minutes.
All right, hey guys. We got 30 seconds here to get a result on trading the TQQQ. And our multi-asset is actually moving along pretty well too. 10 seconds. All right, let's see how this thing did. Oh, this looks interesting. Look at that. That's a very nice result. This is looking very nice. Let's see a tear sheet so we can actually see the numbers. Oh, look at this. Holy crap. It looks like we have another winner here. So this is the Bollinger Band strategy using TQQQ. We could see here that the NASDAQ by itself, the QQQ, did 10% a year. This thing did 45% a year. That's a very, very big difference. So from 2020 up until today, NASDAQ did 70%. We did 700%. So 8 times your money in 4 years. That is pretty damn good. The max drawdown is higher, which makes sense because we're trading a riskier asset, but it's double the max drawdown, but 4 or 5 times returns. So that's pretty cool. The volatility is also higher, it's triple, right? So we are taking on more risk, but this is a pretty damn good result. What do you think about this, AD, I know you had your eyes on this one too. So Jim's saying, I want to run this algo live. Yeah, I thought you could definitely do this 100%. It's available, right? So it's inside of our thing here. It's called NEB Bands V2 is where it's at. That's the one. This one's looking quite interesting. These two, so we have two that look quite nice, right? We have the one with the 3 standard deviation, right? Where's that one again? The 3 standard deviation. This one, this is Jim, your idea. And then AD, this is your idea here, doing this one. So TPS, how many trades a day and how long in a trade on average? You know, I wonder if they have here. We have like the win ratios and stuff. I don't usually look at these things. Like to me, honestly, like I don't look too much at how often it's trading and all that because I prefer things that don't trade very often. Just because then you don't have all these trading fees that you have to deal with, right? So this one, it looks like it traded here in January, then end of February, then June, then end of July. So it seems like almost every 2 months or so, every 2 to 3 months it's placing a trade. So it's not doing it very frequently, right? Jim, so he said that's John, I think. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, maybe I'm confusing you guys. But yeah, so this one's not trading very often. And again, I personally prefer algorithms that don't trade super often, right? Because I find that the more often you trade, the more you get killed by trading fees. Here's our multi-asset. This is not a good result. This is a terrible result. So Bollinger Bands on a few different assets at a time. Let's see if it did anything weird. Maybe this is not even doing what we're supposed to do. There's cash lying around. I think maybe we could make some adjustments to this. It's not even really trading exactly what we should. It should always have like, yeah, I think there's something wrong with this thing. I don't think it's working the way it's supposed to. So it's working the way it's supposed to, you wouldn't have so much cash lying around and you wouldn't go into negative territory here. So here, like over leveraged, so like it killed itself. Right. And why would it be doing that? Let me investigate this quickly. We'll say number of assets owned. Got that. I guess here maybe it's like rebuying the same asset. If we do not yet own the asset, then we should buy it. Asset symbol. Yes. Position dot asset dot symbol for positions. So if asset dot symbol not in positions, then we buy. I think this might fix one of the issues here. So I'm going to rerun this and we'll see if this fixes it. So there's some sort of issue in our multi-asset one. But this one with the stock seems to be pretty good. So John says, can we see where the entry and exit points are and any way to modify the entry exit criteria, take profit, stop loss? I know BB, but when I ran the code, they don't execute much with much precision. Yeah, we could definitely introduce some take profits and stop losses. We can definitely do that. How would you want to set that up exactly? Right, so, and I'm assuming you want to do this on this TQQQ trading algorithm. How would you want to set that up? How would you want to position stop losses or take profits?
What is the average rate of return on the wins and what's the average rate of return on the losses? Is there any way to break that down per trade? Usually
Yeah,
there's some kind of ratios and such.
yeah, I think we do get that, but Honestly, I don't really look at that usually, so I'm not really sure how to find that here. I think this is all here, right? Payoff ratio, profit factor. I'm not as familiar because I don't tend to build algorithms in that fashion usually, right? And I know what you're talking about, where you like each trade, you have what's your win rate and that sort of thing. I don't tend to look at things that way. I tend to look at things in a more holistic fashion. I'll care more about the CAGR and all that. But I think it's somewhere in here, right? There's a gain to pain ratio. So our strategy is on the right. So here, max consecutive wins was 8. Max losses was 7. Gain to pain ratio, we're good. Gain to pain 1M, I don't know what that means. Payoff factor, profit factor, common sense ratio, I don't even know what that is.
Well, I mean, on the first part there, can you actually see where the algorithm is picking up the entry point? Like, so if it's meeting the Bollinger Bands criteria,
Yeah.
where is it actually executing the trade at?
Yeah, so here's all the trades, right? So here's all the trades I've placed, right? So it places first trade on January 1st at midnight, or actually it didn't actually place at midnight, but it would have been on January 1st, right? And then it sold it on February 28th, right? Actually, here it bought TQQQ. I think there might have been 2 back-to-backs, might be. Yeah, because so here we bought TQQQ on January 1st, then we sold it on January 3rd. And we bought USFR and held that from January 3rd all the way until February 28th. Right. And then we bought TQQQ that same day. And then we bought some Ethereum the day after, or a few days later. Right. And we held that. Right. Which put us into a negative cash value, which is actually not what we'd want here. We kind of bought on margin. Right. So we should probably fix that. Is this kind of what you're asking about? Like where this what you mean?
I get it. One of the things about Bollingers is that you're kind of looking for a piercing of the Bollinger Bands. I'm trying to understand if the program's actually picking it up at the pierce, or is it like, hey, it was pierced and then it picks it up on the next candle. That's what I noticed in some of my stuff. It was picking it up 15 minutes later in my trading code, and it didn't make sense why it wouldn't execute with better precision.
Oh, I see what you mean. So here's basically what that looks like, right? And then buys for some reason are
Yeah, I can see where it looks like it's trying to enter in.
Yeah.
Pretty close to that pierce.
Yeah. Yeah, like right when it pierces here. I think just based on how this algorithm is working, I think it's doing it the day after, right? So it pierces it and then the day later it purchases.
Okay.
I say that is because it wouldn't have the closing of that day yet until the next day, right?
Is there any way to modify it to be in more dynamic real time as opposed to waiting a full? As I find sometimes the Bollinger Bands are more, they can be very precise in a reversal.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're playing them for is a reversal strategy. But
right.
I found that some of my stuff, if you execute it at the time of the hit, massive profit wins that way. But if you wait it
that's
15 to 30 minutes later.
Yeah. Let me actually check because I was saying that that was the case, but I might actually be wrong about that. Let me see here. Actually, no, it's executing at the time it pierces because we're getting the current price, right? Which would be the open. So this is actually hitting at exactly that price. So
you said the open, right?
Yeah. So if it pierces it on this candle, it will buy it on this candle.
Okay.
Yeah. Just reading over the code, I was actually incorrect when I said that at first. It is buying right on the spot.
Okay.
But I did notice one thing when we're going through these charts is that it was buying Ethereum and it was going into a negative cash balance. So what I want to do is I want to modify this thing right now so that we're not going to buy the secondary asset. And get rid of this whole thing here. This whole concept of secondary assets, just not going to do that. Secondary asset, we don't use that. Secondary asset, we don't use that. Right, and we'll just basically super try and we'll figure it out on its own. There we go. We gotta run this as debug. Okay, we'll run these, we'll see what the results are. Any last things you guys want to do? It's starting to get late. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to slow down a little bit. It sounds like we found two really good things. We got this one here where we're trading TQQQ. This one had a really good result. It was 45% a year. Really good result, or 7-8 times your money over this time period. That's from 2020 until today, 8 times your money. I think that's pretty damn good, if you ask me. And then we had another one that had a similar kind of result. This one was like 46% a year as well, 8 times your money, right? So this is that crypto B band. So if you guys want, again, if you guys want this code, you guys want to run this stuff, sign up to our pro plan or our all access plan, and you will get access to this code. And this is the first code here, this one that got us 46% a year returns. This one is this strategy, crypto B bands V2, but with standard deviation set to 3. And that's how we got that result. Okay, all of these things here, exactly like this. This is what got us the result of 46% a year. Right. So if you guys want to get that code, it is crypto B bands v2.pi and set the standard deviation to 3. Okay. And then the other one that we got here, and this was the other good result, but we still need to tweak this a second because it was going into margin, right? But still 45% a year, quite good, right? And this one was this one, any B bands V2. And it's using TQ. It's basically the exact same setup. You could use exactly this code here, any underscore B bands under V2. Right? And this is the one I got that. So Jim asked, how much is the pro all access plan? So maybe now is a good time to talk about that. I talked about at the beginning of the class, maybe you guys missed out on it. So here's basically our pro plan and our all access plan. Either one of these plans will give you access to what we're doing today. You guys can show up live every week if you want to, or you can watch the recordings if you want. But the pro plan is $199 a month. It goes up tomorrow, by the way, in price. We're increasing it to $249 tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to keep this price, sign up today, right? And it includes the live algo hour, basically what we're doing right now, plus the recordings, plus all the code that we have. So you can take any of that code and use it however you want. It also includes workshops, right, which will teach you a whole bunch of different things. Right now, we have one workshop where we show you how to install all this stuff and run it, but we're planning on doing a lot more workshops around different types of things. So you'll get access to all the workshops. You also get access to our trading signals, which is something that we're releasing tomorrow or after tomorrow. You get access to our Discord community, and you get access to our Python for Finance course. So all of that, and obviously including what we're doing today, $199 a month, and that's going up to $249 tomorrow. Or you could sign up to our all access plan, which gives you even more. And that basically includes everything from the pro plan, but then also access to all of our courses. This is kind of the biggest thing, right? And this is a lot, by the way. Each one of our courses are like $3,000 to pop, right? And there's, I think, what is it, 7 of them. So you're getting $3,000 times 7, like, you know, quite a bit of value there, right? You're getting all of that as part of the all access plan for $499 a month. So you get everything from pro plan, which includes this class. You also get access to all of our other courses. You can watch all those recordings if you want to learn how to do this stuff. You also get one-on-one support, 2 hours of one-on-one support every month. And you also get live tutoring sessions, which is basically going to be something like what we're doing here, except much smaller, right? So here today we had like 25 people. These live tutoring sessions are going to be like 3, 4, 5 people max. Sometimes it could even be like just one-on-one, the two of us. And we can build algorithms, or we could fix your computer if there's something going on, or install things, or whatever the heck you want to work on. You'll get those live tutoring sessions, which is something similar to what we're doing now, just much smaller class. Right. So those are the two things that you can get. Either one of these plans, if you join, you'll get access to this live algo hour. Right. If you want to, these are the links. Here's for Pro Plan. Here's all access plan. And you could also just go to like our homepage, and it's like really, it's like big on our homepage, right? Like this is the main thing we're pushing, right? So if you want to do that. So Jim said, okay, so this evening has been really enlightening. Thank you, Jim. It's great. I really want to join after seeing all of this, but I'm struggling with paying $500 a month for a membership. I need to hit the ground running and profit from trades during the month to cover that cost. I have the money to invest. My income is low right now. Is there an algo that I could put into place for day trades for longer, like a few days, that I could use to have a winning strategy to cover my costs? I mean, you could use any of the strategies that we have here, right? You don't have to do the $500 a month. You do $200 a month. It's a heck of a lot cheaper, right? So you could use that. And you can run any of the algorithms that we did today. We also have a starter plan if that's even too expensive, right? You're not going to get all the things we have here though with the starter plan. You're not going to get this code. You're not going to get all this stuff, but you will get some of the other stuff. You'll get our original crypto B-Bands one, right? This has a free trial. It's $40 a month right now. We're going to be upping this price as well. But right now it's $40 a month with a free 1-week trial. You know, that's kind of if you don't have the cash, you can get started that way. But keep in mind though, that this free trial or the starter plan is not going to include the code that we did today, right? It's going to include different algorithms, just not the ones today. Okay, so here's the result. This is our NEB bands. Let's see. We had a pretty nice result. It did better with Ethereum in it. There it is. So 15% a year. And so different with when we're not buying that Ethereum. Okay, cool. And Jim says, okay, maybe you start with the $200 plan. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and make sure that you buy it. Like I said, we're increasing our prices tomorrow. So if you want to get at $200, that's only really for another 24 hours. Tomorrow, all of our prices are going up. Yeah, we want to increase our prices basically because we want to keep these classes smaller, right? We don't want to have like a ton of people per class. So in order to support that, we need to raise our prices.
I have a question for you.
And Jim, yes, you could use a 10% coupon from last night if you want to do that. That you can still use that coupon. It applies to Pro Plan or All Access. You could use either one.
I have a question.
Yep.
Which strategies do you use the most? Like when it comes to all the strategies, how many of them do you have like real money in?
I think I have 3 strategies that have real money in right now. And that is diversified leverage. It used to be the trend following one for crypto, but I'm going to switch it over to this B-Bands one.
Yeah.
I think it's more interesting. Right. This has much better results, right? Over different over different time periods. So I think I'm going to switch over to this one personally, my crypto, and then the Congress trading one. It's another one I have running.
Awesome.
Those are the ones I run.
Yeah. All right. That's sure.
I like running a bunch of different strategies, right? Because they all kind of operate in different ways, right? Like one of them is making money using just like portfolio creation. The other one's making money off of Bollinger Bands. The other one's making money off of Congress. And they're all kind of uncorrelated with each other. So that's the way that I like it, because that lowers my overall risk, right? That's how I do this. I don't run one strategy at a time. I run a few at a time. You know? I'm still trying to get our technology to work well, so that we could run like 10, 20 algorithms at a time. Because if you look at a big hedge fund, like Two Sigma or something like that, they're running like 100 strategies at a time, right? And each one of them individually does like 100% or 200% or whatever, right? But when you average them out, they'll get a still very good result, but much lower risk, right? Because they're all kind of operating in different ways. One does really well in one market condition, another one does really well in another market condition. And when you put them all together, you can basically handle anything, right? And you're making money in every situation, right? That's basically how Two Sigma works. That's how my understanding of how Renaissance works as well. And that's what I'm striving towards. That's what I'm trying to build out. So when we eventually run our hedge fund, that's what I'm going to be running for people.
So
Sounds
Robert,
perfect, man. Yeah.
Awesome.
Robert,
You have a question? You want to say something?
yeah, this is Brian. Sometimes I wonder about, can we get to a point where there's like we can be over diversified? Like you got all these different algorithms and they're running. But at the end of the day, I mean, I wonder if one should be focusing on, at least the top 10% and not overcomplicating the strategy. I think sometimes, I mean, it's alluring to say, hey, it's very complicated, got 1,000 different algorithms, but at the end of the day, if it's the one horse that constantly comes in, is it really worth it to
That's a good question, man. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know, because that's kind of the next phase of our development, right? Right now we're working on individual algorithms, and we have individuals that perform well, right? The next step is how do we run like 10 or 20 or 30 at a time, right? So the real answer is I don't know, right? I don't really.
One thing I noticed too, Robert, through this, part of the ingenious factor to these algorithms are the people that are asking the questions and are manipulating the ratios in order to get to that level of perfection. So my concern is that if one is too diversified and doesn't know enough about whatever market they're in, they're not going to ask the right question. So the algorithm is only as smart as the person is asking the question.
Right.
So yeah, but don't get me wrong. I like that. I think it's a beautiful thing because, especially from a hedge fund standpoint, there always going to be someone that's going to say, "Well, this is the market I want to participate in," and vice versa.
Well, the reason why I think this, right? And can you over diversify? I mean, maybe, right? But it depends on what you put in there, right? Like, what are the ingredients that you put in there, right? Like, I mean, if you put 100 different ingredients, it can be very bad. But if you put the right ingredients, it could be very good, right? So that's one thing. But it's also the reason why I'm thinking this is because this is what the big hedge funds are doing, right? Like I got to know some people that work at Two Sigma, one of the best hedge funds in the world, right? They manage like, was it $200 billion or some crazy number like that?
Right.
And that's what they're doing, right? Is they have, I don't know if it's 100, maybe it's 20 or 30 at a time. I don't know the exact figure, but they basically have like an algorithm that runs other algorithms. And it's something like this, from what I understand, is it'll run these algorithms. And then if they're performing poorly, it kicks them out. And then it brings in ones that do well, right? So it's like you have an algorithm for algorithms, right? It's like the second tier of things, right? So that's my understanding of it. But I don't fully understand that whole mechanism yet. I mean, we haven't gotten that far yet. That's kind of the next evolution of what we want to do. But that's what I've heard the big guys are doing, right? So I want to at least try to emulate them, right?
I understand.
Yeah. It's a good question, man. It's a good thing to question that, right? Because you're right. There are, if you're buying just stocks, there is some over diversification that can happen, right? So yeah, I'm not sure if that is the same thing in algorithms, though, right? Because stocks, I can see that, because you just end up having just basically the market, right? And with algorithms, it's not exactly the same thing, right? And it depends on how many of them and what kinds, right? There's a lot of details to that, right? That
Right.
I still need to personally fully understand too, right? Because that gets complicated, right? That's a much more complicated way of doing this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's good questions. We'll find out. We'll run this over the next like year or two, and I'll give you a better answer in a while.
No, I'm with you 100% on it. I really am. I got to start somewhere.
Read the chat.
Awesome. So I'm reading the chat. AD ensemble is the way. I agree. This is the way. It's called a regime switching model for ensembles. Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds about right to me, AD. I don't know if you ever worked at a hedge fund like that, but it sounds like you're barking up the right tree. Cool. All right, guys. Well, it's getting late. It's almost 11 p.m. where I am on Eastern time. Anything else you guys want to cover before we finish up for tonight?
No,
So
sir. Excellent class. Yeah.
Thank you.
This will make it where we'll be running our own individual hedge fund, huh?
That's it. That's what we're going for. That's what I want to do, right? My
I like that idea.
mission is to build one of the world's biggest hedge funds. So this is the beginning of that,
Or just sell the algorithm.
I think I can make a heck of a lot more money if we just manage money for people, So we're gonna start doing that soon. Actually, you know what? If any one of you guys on this call, by the way, if any of you guys have B2B experience and you want to sell to hedge funds, let me know, because we're gonna be hiring someone soon on commission.
I would love to give that a try.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Find out,
Yeah.
Commission only. If you guys can sell some hedge funds, let me know, because we basically want to take these algorithms and let's go bigger,
Yeah.
Right. We've been
Definitely.
I got a few in mind now.
$500 a month. I'd rather take this and sell it to a hedge fund for 10 grand a month. You know what I mean?
Perfecto. Yeah.
For the next step, yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you guys are interested in that, send me an email, right?
All right, we'll do.
Commission only, it's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
You guys have.
Sounds perfect. I'm gonna go right up the email right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome,
sir.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys have B2B experience, we could run that. This is not something I've have personally a lot of experience in, is how to sell to hedge funds. That would be a brand new thing for me. If you guys have any kind of experience close to that, that'd be super helpful. Yeah.
Definitely.
No worries,
sir. All right. Ooh.
All right, guys. So let's wrap it up. Again, if you guys want any of this code, if you want to use any of the stuff, Pro Plan or All Access Plan, either one of these, you'll get access to all the code that we've done today. And you'll be able to participate in all the future things that we do like this, right?
Sounds great.
All right, guys. Yeah. Hope you have a good night.
How about tonight?
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Have a good one. Later, guys.
Hey, Robert. Hey, Robert.
Yep.
Hey, I DM you earlier. I don't know if you saw it earlier today, several hours ago. But
I haven't seen
we can communicate tomorrow.
Sure. I'll check my. You're saying on Discord, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let me check this out. Message requests. You're T1, right? That's your Discord name?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just looking at it now. Cannot import. You need to upgrade your Lumi bot. You need to go pip install. I'm going to type this out to you.
Yeah, I did.
Oh. Yeah?
Yeah.
And you're still having issues? It might be that you're running it on the wrong Python version. So if you have to run on the same Python version as what you installed it to, so you can check it using Python -- version. So you go something like this. You go Python -- version, right? I'll send this as well. is 311. So I want to make sure this down here is the same thing, right? Because if you're running it, because you can run it on a different version of Python, right?
Okay.
If you're running on a different version of Python, it's not gonna work. So check with your Python dash version to make sure it's the same thing. And also make sure you pip install upgrade LumiBot, right? Make sure you run those two.
So this in the terminal and VS Code?
Yeah, all this in terminal and VS Code. Let me send you both these things. So Python dash version. Here. Right, this is how you check what Python is your main Python, right? And you want to match it here when you're running, right? This needs to match.
Okay.
Make sure it matches what you're running with. And then running with, and then you also want to do the Python pip install upgrade LumiBot to make sure you have the latest version. Right. And one way they can check is you could also go pip show LumiBot, send a screenshot. Right. And just generally send a screenshot of your error, like show more than this, because this is not enough. If you show me your whole screen, I'll be able to tell better what's happening. Right. Send
Okay.
all this stuff. All right.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks.
No problem. And then so a few people here message. So good meeting, Brian. Thank you, Brian. It's awesome. Very cool.
Oh,
John says, what's your email to send over to you? So my email is rob@lumiwealth.com. You should be getting lots of emails from us, right? Just reply to any email and you should be able to get in contact. Just be like, yeah, just put it in the subject line or whatever, right? All right, guys. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hope you guys have a good night. And I will see you. For those of you that are in our pro plan or all access plan, I'll see you guys next week. And we'll keep doing this stuff. We'll keep building some cool algorithms and keep making some money. Right.
Yes, sir. Let's make a lot of good money. Woo, I love the money, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dante, if you've been running the algorithm that we set up for you, you should have made some pretty good cash the past little bit too.
That's a good point, man. I'm gonna check Alpaca right now.
It should be up. It should be up.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I'm sure it's up. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right. Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
Later.
Later.
Peace.